Welcome to Applied Technology Podcast. Talking technology, you're talking applied. Hello and welcome again with our ATG podcast. We're so excited this year. We're starting with important topics that you have to know, listen, and learn about because it's something that we need every day in life now, that especially internet is everywhere in our everyday lives, our phones, our computers, everything. So with me, we have today Mark, Jean, Lori's with us again. They'll go ahead and introduce yourselves and what they do here in the company in a bit. But the topic of discussion for today is going to be working team communications, specifically with those emergency services that we might come across. We'll talk a little bit more about that. But for now, I have with me Lori. Lori, if you can introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Lori Barnes, President and CEO of Applied Technology Group, 39 years strong now.
Nice. That says a lot. And hopefully even more years. We have Mark today as well.
Hi, I'm Mark Alexander. Been with the company 14 years. I'm the systems manager here.
And then we have also Jean with us today.
Good morning, Gene Hansen, Technical Operations Manager. Been with the company 16 years. Happy to be here. Thank you.
Wow, awesome. Yep, we got people that know what they're talking about for sure. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. And without further ado, let's go ahead and start. So Mark, I'll start with you. What type of emergency services do we support?
Really a general population of schools, fire, police, safety, construction. I mean, anybody can use really emergency systems. So it's a kind of a wide variety of people that we really help. Some that I've actually helped are the schools around Kern County and out of the county as well, which has opened my eyes to pre-planning and stuff like that.
And I know it's a bit of a kind of a deep discussion, but it's a reality we face every day, especially when it comes to schools. How important is it to have that quick, prompt, fast communication? Unfortunately, with sometimes some of these school shootings, fortunately, we haven't found ourselves in a place like that here in Bakersfield, but there's always the what ifs. So how important is it to have that reliable communication?
Well, it's definitely very important especially for pre-planning. I have been involved with school shooting before in Taft, and a child brought a gun to school, and they found out quickly the importance of how important what radios are, and how they're able to be used in situations like that. So I think a lot of the pre-planning in general is a must, because it kind of gets you in that role of it's kind of a role play, because you never know what's going to happen in different situations, from a disaster to an active shooting situation, a lockdown. There's numerous things. So the pre-planning part is the most critical, I think.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Jean, could you talk to us a little bit more about how these services work?
Well, what we usually start by doing is meeting with the client and determining, how they're communicating today. And we work towards a common communications goal that forces them to use the two-way radios is our most popular technology for the schools and for school safety as well as public safety. Always has been and will continue to be the most reliable form of emergency communications. So what we try to do is we establish a method for them to use the radios that will provide good coverage and will allow them to communicate regularly, so they're used to using the radios instead of being nervous about what to do when they turn the radio on, what channel to be on. They're using them every day already. So our goal is to get them to use them regularly. Then when there is an emergency, they know exactly how they're supposed to behave, how the radios are supposed to be used. We've found more often than not that with the introduction of cell phones and that technology, everybody uses cell phones every day. It has forced people to get more dependent on the cell phone technologies. And we all know that a lot of times we try to reach somebody and maybe they send us to voicemail, or we are only able to communicate with one person at a time. Whereas a radio allows us to communicate with the entire campus. We can send out a notification to everybody that, hey, there's an emergency on campus, everybody lock into your rooms, and it reaches all of the users. And if they are already trained and already using the radios daily, it just makes it so much easier to deploy a program like this.
Perfect. There's a concept that I was mentioned about, and it's called one-to-many radios. Maybe you can both kind of mention it, and even Laura, if you want to jump in as well. But what is this concept about, and what do people need to know?
one-to-many works more like a dispatcher and all the recipients or subscribers to that dispatcher, where maybe an administrator, maybe the principal of a campus, or maybe it's a department centralized for the whole district that would use a radio channel to communicate to everybody in the district. And then each of those campuses within that district would then use their local channel to communicate to their constituents and everybody involved with that particular incident. So you can literally allow communications to flow downward or outward from a central location to the entire district at once on a single channel. And then each of those campuses within that district could then move to their local channel and communicate those same emergencies and handle the situation on either a regional or a school by school basis.
Perfect. And how would you describe how this works as well, Mark? Maybe like with guys on the field, per se.
If I can go a little bit more with that, you always kind of want to designate a single person if an emergency does happen to be able to facilitate and
Be that. Okay.
be that person. But if that person's not there to facilitate, obviously you want to have the backup and the backup to the backup. So you always want to designate 5 people because if that person's not there or they're on vacation, a person's out sick, and they're not at that situation, you always want to have that next person to kind of step up to facilitate in an emergency need. So basically, it gives you a wide variety of people that have a radio to get help. And you're not basically projected just one person to get the help because they could have a dead battery in their radio. They might not have charged it. They might not be able to get to their base station. So when you have a plethora of radios that are in the field, somebody's going to be able to help you right away.
Well, I think one of the main things to remember when you're talking about safety or security systems, you have to have an overall plan. And you have to have either established with a command center or a dispatch facility. So there are many different systems and services that we support. And it's we've talked a lot about the schools, and I think that each system would be a very beneficial podcast in the future. So we'll just stick with schools, but the EMTs and utilities, all sorts of services that we provide security communications for. But we offer training programs, so we can walk into a classroom scenario and train people how to use their two-way radios effectively. And because if they're not trained, when a disaster or an issue happens, it could be chaos. And we don't want that. So we support on an entirely different level because we want that situation to be handled professionally and with a lot of care. The other thing is Mark alluded to the maintenance. We advocate maintenance on your equipment. There are a lot of different systems for making sure that large districts have battery banks so that they're keeping up and cycling those batteries professionally, not just hoping that they have a charged battery. We go in and we educate the school and the district on how to properly be prepared. There's a lot to this, and we really take it serious.
And that's really important. That says a lot about the company caring of actually making sure that not only just providing the product, but providing the how-tos to the product, because want to make sure that they're going to be okay while using it. It's not just like, oh, here we go, we did our cell, like that's it, go, figure it out. For people to actually, from the company to explain, this is how you use it, this is what you need to change the batteries every so often, that just says how much we care for the customer, and that's very important, especially for schools, as we're talking about. But finally, I just wanted to ask, I was told about this dynamic, how cells invaded two-way radio like industries, and then now it's kind of shifting. What would you all have to say about that?
Two-way radio has always been a mainstay in the emergency medical scenario. Any EMT, any public safety. And we don't see that ever going away because of the one-to-many capabilities that a two-way radio system has. People don't understand the depth of what a public radio system is involved. Just know it's very detailed, it's very elaborate, it's cross-platforming, there's hybrid communications so that different systems can talk. You know, you can have fire talk to police, and all of that's orchestrated. It's like a big orchestra. That's probably the best way. Is that different people are playing different instruments, but they all need to come together to play beautiful music, because that is what a successful public safety system does.
Right.
And when you think of the magnitude of keeping all of that together, we have to have a plan. And with the cellular system, while it has its place, it's just a different type of technology. It's a different tool. While we use it every day, we also need to have the correct tools in our tool belt. So you would not want to run a large issue with a cell phone. So two-way radio allows us to do that. And that's where we get large crowd scenarios where we're doing maybe at a large arena. Two-way radios are controlling that crowd and allowing the communications to be effective rather than digging through your phone trying to look for a number to call. You may not even know who to call.
Right.
And this allows for a more orchestrated event that's professional.
Right.
Yeah, some of the emergency preparation meetings that I've attended, it's fantastic because there's so many different tools that you can use now. The drills that I've done over the years, everyone practices with the two-way radio because that's the main tool. So you obviously want something that's reliable.
Right. Jean.
When it comes to team communications, really the most important thing you can remember about efficiency when you're using communications to conduct work every day. You look at any kind of construction company, if you're working a job and everybody's driving out to said job and someone forgot the hammer or someone forgot a specific tool that's needed to complete that job, if you're on a cell phone, who do you call to see if that tool is in their truck? You have an opportunity to call each and every one of your crew and find out which one of those people have the tool in their truck using cell phone and hoping that you get through on each call. How much time have you wasted to try to find out who's got the tool in their truck when you can pick up a two-way radio, you can communicate one time effectively
To everyone.
the person that has that tool in the truck is going to respond. Or that person may not be able to come to the radio, but his coworker might be sitting next to him in the truck and he might, hey, he's on a call right now, but we've got the tool and we're on our way.
Yeah.
That's your one-to-many.
Yeah.
That's your using the two-way radios as a tool for efficiency,
Right.
for effective communications. It just blows everything else away. It doesn't matter if cell phones work or not. It's just a better way to communicate.
Yeah. Definitely. Well, I mean, it's something very important, and whether it be for work, whether it be at a, unfortunate school situation or just your everyday to everyday, definitely it sounds like this is a very important and reliable way to communicate, and that's what we're trying to kind of, just kind of enhance, especially during these times. So, thank you so much, gentlemen. Lori, thank you so much for stopping by and talking to us about this. I hope that customers feel if they aren't set up with this service, that they will feel comfortable to get this service for sure. And also, I will be providing your emails, so if you get a bunch of phone calls, don't get surprised. But no, definitely, it's something that's very important to have. But I will be providing those emails in the bottom of the link from the YouTube video, just in case if anyone has any more questions. But thank you guys so much for taking your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.